How's it going, everyone? Hope you're having a great day today. This is the LG G1, the gallery series with the Evo panel, or guaranteed to have the Evo panel. And my cat, Corin, decided that she wanted some attention, so she kind of gets in the way a bit for this. Now, over the course of the next few weeks, we're going to be doing a lot with this TV, with calibrating and taking measurements of all the default picture modes out of the box, and all kinds of cool stuff, so hope you keep an eye out for that. Now, this TV does not come with a stand or feet. It comes with a flush wall mount that I will not be using. I have a Sanus wall mount already on my wall, so I'm going to use that. And you can see my Corin plush doll that I had before I got my cat Corin, and you can see where the name came from. And we have some good news from LG. They have extended the manufacturer warranty on the G1 series from 1 year to 5. So many of you may already know that LG has a track record of replacing panels that have burn-in outside of their typical 1-year warranty, when the 1-year warranty doesn't even technically cover burn-in. So this just adds good value to anyone who's interested in the G series over the C series. I imagine it's because of the Evo panel, and it shows how much trust they have in its durability, and we will probably see it extend to the C series next year unless they want to keep it as an increased value for a reason to go for the G series. So you saw behind the TV, I already have my bias lighting installed, and now we're going to go for the peel. It's not very smooth, but finally get it off. It's kind of hard to do one-handed while recording it. So to get the mount on, I opened the box and laid the TV flat down using the foam that's already around it, and then pulled the bottom foam off, installed the brackets, and then just lifted it up and put it on my mount. Very easy, and it's nice to have this film on the front so you don't get your fingerprints on it during your installation. The little red tab on the right side did not peel the full plastic off, it kind of just ripped off without the plastic, but on the left side it held together, and finally get it off. And you can see Corin sitting there watching me this whole time, probably just wondering what in the heck am I doing. Alright, so for the rest of this video I'm going to go through the first time powering up, the initial setup, some basic quick setting adjustments that you should do. Right here showing the glare from my window. This is why I always have those curtains closed when viewing any content, regardless of the TV. When I get the Samsung QN90A, I'll see if it can beat that window, but I highly doubt it. I'm sure it'll be, brighter and better than an OLED when it comes to that window, but I still think I would want the curtains closed regardless. So anyway, here's the first time powering up. It takes a good minute the first time. There, the bias lighting just got its power through the USB port. Again, this first initial setup is kind of slow, but once this is done, you don't have to do it again unless you do a factory reset. So I'm going to use the remote for the setup. You just set your location and time zone. I'm on the East Coast. I don't know, some of these time zones, they either give you cities that are near you or the actual time zone. I prefer the ones that give you the actual time zone, but that's me. The audio guidance is on by default, so when you first turn it on, you are going to be talked to by the TV. So I like to turn that off right away. Then you have all your service agreement stuff that you can go through. I don't know if anyone actually reads all of that. I'd be surprised if they did. And then I just select all and just get through this as quickly as possible. While this is going on in the background, I did cut out putting in my zip code and my email and that kind of stuff, but other than that I show everything. But while this is going on, I have plans to compare this to the A80J and C1 measurements and videos that I had taken previously, and I'm going to try to splice them up together and be able to show, the similar content with the same camera settings and angle, hopefully, to try and simulate a side-by-side. But regardless, I'll give you my personal feelings and opinions. I imagine that the A80J is going to end up having the brighter highlights, but we will find out. That's just based on what I've seen about the G1. But the G1 should be just as bright as the A80J when it comes to everything else, and certainly brighter than the C1. Now, because it is the G1, it doesn't matter in the service menu because I can't turn the G1 into a G1 if it's already a G1. But I will go into the service menu to disable the ASBL for the calibration, and also to check which plant the panel is being built at. I imagine it's being built at the one in China, as so far that's where all of the new ones are being built, but at some point in time the ones in Korea will be switching to that as well, so it'll be nice to just check and see if that's happened yet or if we still have to wait longer. I will say the initial viewing of this panel quality, there's very, very little dirty screen effect, or really none that I can see yet. I will say the brightness is rather poor in that the black level is very, very crushed right now, and that is normal. After the break-in period, it does brighten up, so that's nothing to worry about. It's just right now I can't really see a 5% window to judge the panel quality, so I will have to do that later. I try to in this video though. Alright, so here we are at the initial home screen menu system here. Either you like the design or you don't. That's going to be personal preference. I don't use the internal app system at all, so it doesn't really bother me one way or another. Although I may try out and see if there's a way I can pin the YouTube app to the input selection or something, just because the YouTube app on the NVIDIA Shield doesn't support HDR. So if there's a quick menu or something like that setting that I can use to do that, then I might go ahead and set that up. The Sony A80J did have that, where when you hit the inputs you could set certain apps to show up there. So I'm going to try and see if I can figure out something similar. So here at the very beginning, I'm going to turn off all of the OLED screensaver protection stuff, the energy saving, anything that alters the image. Energy saving I will always keep off. The OLED stuff I will turn back on after it's broken in, after it's calibrated. I also check for a system update first when unboxing the TV. I didn't apply it right now because it takes a while and trying to get through this video, but I did go through after shooting this and applied the new update. And then the first thing I wanted to do was get out of that default picture mode and go into ISF bright, because my room has some lights right now, and just do some basic adjustments here. The clarity I go to first because I want to disable any motion stuff, and the sharpness should be set at 0 when using HDMI sources that are already sharp. And here, turning off true motion, that ungrays the cinema screen option, which is your film cadence or frame rate matching, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to leave it on to see if there's any problems with it, with frame skipping, like on the Sony with Cinemotion. It would have some frame skips when on high, but I didn't notice any on low. The LG, it's either on or off, so we'll see. Then I come to color, make sure the color gamut is set to auto detect and the white balance is at warm 50. Some of you will say that warm 50 looks yellow. That's because your eyes are not used to it. That is how you get to a warmer color temperature out of the box, which is more accurate. I suggest you try it out for a few days and see if your eyes adjust, because that is going to be closer to D65 than any other setting on that color temperature. Here for the black level, you can see the difference when you set limited or full. So full means it will show 0 to 255, whereas limited is 16 to 235. Auto pretty much works all the time. I never have any problems with it. You can set it to limited for all your devices because that's what they use, except for PC would be full. So that's why I have it at auto. So when I run my PC through the receiver that I go through the eARC port with, then I don't have to mess with it. Speaking of eARC, here's the audio settings. So make sure that it's set to use your external wired speakers if you are using a receiver or soundbar through a wire, or eARC, ARC, whichever. then go into this screen and enable eARC, and then we're going to turn the digital sound output from auto at default to pass-through. You can read the little description box right there if you like. As soon as I hit the eARC support, it triggered my receiver to do like a handshake thing, so that's why I have to click on digital sound output again, because it just didn't wait long enough. I hit pass through and it kind of just didn't accept it while that was happening. So anyway, if you want all your audio to be passed through and have your receiver do the processing, just set it to pass through. Now for match screen and sound, that's pretty much like lip sync, but I have all that handled by the receiver itself. The only time that I notice that I need any lip sync when using eARC is if in Dolby Vision, because there's more input lag, at least on the Sony there was, so I had to increase it a bit there, but I'll look into that with this TV. Here, the AI service stuff, I would like all of that disabled. You can try them out if you like. Just know that if you have AI genre on, it will gray out some motion settings and automatically set those for you. Especially, I think it's default to on like that with Dolby Vision. So here, just going through some more menus, checking things around, and then if you go to the TV information, this is where you can see the total power on time. What's nice is a factory reset doesn't reset that information like it does on the Sony. You can also see your internal storage there. Here's how you can connect some Bluetooth devices or whatever else. And then you have your deep color and your CEC control settings here. Deep color should be on for pretty much any modern devices. It just gives you the option of off in case you have an older device that is incompatible. And then you have your network settings. I am running wired. And then under system, you have your language, location, time, safety, this kind of stuff. Additional settings, you can change where the when you first turn the TV on, where it takes you. So I like to turn off this home stuff because I don't want to go to the home menu. And you have your little red light that'll light up at the bottom middle of the TV if you have that enabled when it's off. You can adjust your TV pointer, mess with advertisement stuff, and then here is where you can do a factory reset. Accessibility is, this stuff for if you need the high contrast grayscale, that kind of thing, or the audio guidance to turn it back on. Alright, so that's all of that. So now I'm going to load up the Spears and Munzel disc real quick, and it defaults to standard HDR mode, which I don't like. So switching to Cinema Home, make some basic adjustments, turning off HDR tone mapping for 1. You probably just saw a big drop in brightness right there, but don't be fooled. That's only mid-level brightness. It does not affect the actual peak brightness of HDR highlights or anything like that. It just lifts the mid-range to give that effect, but it is not accurate, and it doesn't actually make the TV any brighter. So again, color temperature set to warm 50, sharpness. I do not understand why in HDR it defaults to a higher sharpness and turns on all of this stuff, super resolution, noise reduction, and so on, when HDR sources should be some of the cleanest available. The smooth gradation I'm going to play with and see if it has any real effect. I wouldn't go higher than low, at least that's what I'm thinking right now. I will try it out because I hear the smooth gradation feature does not work as well as Sony. When I had the C1, I didn't really bother to use it at all because, again, you hear that it doesn't really work, but I want to find out for myself now, as I did end up liking it on low with the Sony. So here is a 15% all-screen gray pattern, and you can see the uniformity is looking pretty good right now. If I go any lower than 15%, though, it's very, very hard to see anything. Then I'm going to look at a full screen white pattern, check for the pink tint, which it will have because it is the 3S4C or Evo panel. The camera kind of picks up a little bit. It just looks a little warmer in the center, but that's from the camera. At least it's accentuated by the camera. That effect is there in person, where the outer edges looks a little bit different. As you move around, you'll see the pink kind of shift around. And then here, the camera's not going to pick this up right now, but there was a little bit of white clipping. So again, Once it's broken in, hopefully this will clear up. And then checking for the dark range. I put this pattern up and I was like, did it even turn on? Like, what happened? And then I realized it was just so dark out of the box that it can't even show this pattern without turning up the brightness quite a lot. Again, after the break-in period or during the break-in period, you'll notice that you can turn the brightness down, here and there until it settles to where 50 is correct. But for right now, when you first turn these, the G1 or the C1 on, you're going to have to crank up the brightness a bit. So I just turned it up really high so you could see what was missing, and then turn it back down, and then try to find the spot, and ended up landing on 60. So I figure within the next 20 hours I can bring that down to probably 58, and then I'll probably stay there until about 50 to 80 hours, and then put it down to about 56, and then by like 140 hours it should be broken in enough to put it back to 50. That's what I experienced on the C1, and I've seen other people have to do similar. So now here's just a quick star field, just so you can see the advantage of an OLED, where you have your pure blacks and your little dots aren't going to cause any blooming. And then just show a quick minute of some demo material just to make sure there's no issues. I didn't see anything. Everything's looking pretty good with this panel. I can definitely tell the color temperature is too cool out of the box. As far as I know, it's probably the Judd offset, or around 7,000 degree Kelvin instead of, D65 6500K, or the larger 77-inch sizes seem to be 6800K or thereabouts. So here is a 10% gray pattern, and while it was rather dark and hard to see, can definitely tell that there's no like major banding issues. Alright, so now here's the accessories that come with it. You have your flush mount kit and your IR blaster. I am not using the flush mount. If you want to see that, go to Be the Installer's channel and check out his installation video. Here, this is the service menu remote that you can get on Amazon for around $8. You can search that model number or just search LG service menu remote and grab that one. This is the remote you get, and this remote does have voice. And you have your hotkeys at the bottom for Netflix and other apps. The bottom of it is flat, so you can set it down on a table. And overall, it's a fine remote. Alright, and now with some stuff on the TV itself, you can see how much my window still glares. Alright, so just a reminder to hit the like button if you want more people to see this video. This is pretty much the end of this initial setup. So thanks for watching, hope you liked it. Keep an eye out for more, and have a good one.